Hello, chat room. Chat room, let us
Chat
know.
room.
Let us know if you can see and hear us. Okay.
It's there. You're not there. That's okay too.
Oh,
there are no notes. Notes not found. No notes found.
I found no. Give me Mukale's name. Thank you.
Easy for you to say. Okay. Yes,
there we go.
Notes there where camera is. That way it looks like I'm engaging with the audience.
I know.
Right?
I'm the same way. We're engaging.
Let me turn you ever so much. So centered. I don't know if I like the background. I might just.
No, it works. I mean,
it's still not quite there. It still keeps eating parts of me, and I don't like that.
Yes. You're also running downhill.
Oh yeah, the tilt. Yeah, it's.
Meow. Better.
No, still not.
Almost. Yeah. That'll work.
Okay. Oh, and yeah, of course. Because I rebooted, the camera settings also changed. Why does everything not save settings? Why is that so hard?
I don't know, my love.
Why are you yelling at Max? Anyway, no.
Hey. You know what? Max knows why I'm yelling at him.
Okay.
He knows what he did.
He knows what he did. I might not know what he did yet, but he knows what he did.
Yeah, that's a risk he's willing to take.
I don't know if many people are willing to take the risk of a small angry woman.
Who's you're leading this show.
I'm leading this. All right. Are we good, Boo?
I'm good. I'm waiting on Mew to be good.
Yeah.
Close enough. I mean, this is the best you're going to get today.
That's all right. It says Mew is kind of loud, but not peaking. Yeah, we'll settle into our performance voices in just a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, am I too loud? Is this too loud? I can turn it down if I'm too loud.
Oh no, you're good. What does voice meter say? All right. We'll fix it in post.
Anyway, okay. We good?
Yep. Well, neutral.
I have a podcat.
Oh, I do not have a podcat. Cam has a podcat.
No, I had one. He ran off. So
okay.
He's probably snuggling K-Bear.
Probably right behind you. All right. Maybe eventually we'll have a pod puppy.
Maybe.
After con.
Mm-hmm. Not furthest thing from the mind right now.
I know. There was so much going on. All right, going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on this episode of the AIE Podcast.
New Braid continues to march bravely forward.
Murderous Groot, you say. Or don't say.
Or don't say. May the 4th... No, wait. June the 4th will be with the FC.
Show 404. Oh no, guest not found.
So we're talking about cons to ourselves.
You mean when you try to trick some? Oh no, not that kind of con. All right. All that and more coming up now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode 404, the podcast celebrating you, the Aaliyah Octa S gaming community. The Die Has Been Podcast. I am Makala. To my left, downstairs, over a bit, is Tetsemi.
Hello, everyone.
Wow, doesn't even have his spreadsheet open. All right. And to our right, in 2 states over, is Mew-Cow.
Greetings, guildies. I hope you're not having a crappy weekend.
Absolutely. All right. And this week, we are joined by some very special guests. Well, guys, it's us. We're the special guests. And we're going to talk about a subject near and dear to our hearts. Conventions, because we're heading into convention season. Welcome us.
Hello.
Welcome. Howdy, howdy, howdy. All right.
Exactly.
All right. So, what have you guys been up to? And I'm going to go to the one that I don't live with, Mew Cow.
Well, right now I'm being swarmed by podcats. All of a sudden, I don't know.
Wait, this is not fair.
Yes. Yes, I suddenly have podcats saying hi. Yeah.
I thought you're so handsome.
Yeah. It's Deanie.
Hi, Dean. Mwah.
Sammy's down here. I don't know. They're just suddenly wanting attention, of course, because, I'm sitting down to do a podcast.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
This weekend, so I just spent the day shuttling kiddo around to various places to tire him out. I mean, for him to have enrichment, enrichment. Austin, of course, has been having constant spittle rain, so we went to an indoor place called Cat Chair, or Cat Chair, as I like to call it. There's no cats or chairs. It's just, it's a place where you basically, an indoor place where kids can just bounce around and get their energy out.
So it's like the cats in chairs?
Yes, totally. And then after that, met with some friends at an outdoor playground next to a place called Central Market. It's kind of, for those that are familiar with the Texas HEB, then also, but if you're also familiar with, World Market, the one that Amazon bought, it's HEB's version of World Market is called Central Market, and they have a fancy place next to a big old playground, and then a live music center because it's Austin. That's just
Austin,
right,
yeah,
of
that's kind of
course,
what you do up there.
It doesn't matter what your business is. You have a live music stage in it. You could have a
There's a car wash with the live music next to.
Yeah, the Urban Mattress store has a live music stage next to it, so that's just a thing you do.
Yeah. You never know when a jam session's gonna break out.
Yeah, I mean, even the mini marts, the mini malls, the strip malls have a live music section. So yeah, we were being serenaded with that while the kids ran around and had fun. Hung out with some coworkers because we don't go into the office anymore. So the only way to see your coworkers is to hang out afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's it was one of those rare cool days. It was in the 70s today, but it was constant spittle rain, so you had to dodge a bit of that. And that's pretty much just kids' birthday parties. We're winding down for school. Game wise, I've been having a lot of really good luck with that Honkai Rail game. That everyone's really into. I have not started the new Zelda game because I have not finished the first one.
That makes sense. Okay. It's been a big topic in our house.
Yes.
Well, it was funny. So Jen got the new one. She hasn't played the first one. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to go straight into the second one. It's like, okay, you do you. She got essentially an A+ in her class. So it's like, here's your reward. Here, you have the new Zelda.
Absolutely.
You do what you want with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see where I was in the first Zelda game. Popped in. Save file from 5 years ago, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I stop playing? Oh, weird. What is this shrine I'm in the middle of? Oh, wow, that is really annoying. No wonder I stopped.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, you know what, I'm going to come back to this later, and then forgot.
Got it. Yeah.
But,
and now it's how big a bridge can you build and shove into a shrine? That's the.
It's if you want to call it bridges, it's not just bridges that I've been seeing people building, but there's been some very clever uses of mechanics, as we say.
Yeah, and all the other game developers are like, how did they get this working on the Switch? Like they're just scratching their heads, like how?
And apparently, it's running better than the first game did, which is surprising.
Well, the first game was a tech demo.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So they've had 5 years apparently, because that's when my last save file was, to improve on this. We watch a weekly YouTube show called Highlight Reel. Mm-hmm. And the last 2 weeks have just been Zelda clips of just people doing the wackiest things.
Yeah.
Yes. The most interesting one I saw was someone getting a crate that had a door on it, scooping a character into it, closing the door, tilting the crate, letting go, the thing flies.
Right.
Because of physics, because the game wants that character to be flat on the floor. Right. Well, you've just changed what the floor is, so it just goes flying off into the distance.
Wow,
so they've been using that as a weapon, essentially. Like you just aim it and it just.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff because that same show, the highlight reel show, has shown what people have been doing with the first Zelda game for the last 5 years, and they do just crazy stuff. Now Zelda has then now given them a tool set to continue their crazy.
Right. Yeah, the tools for the
To
crazy.
extend the crazy.
Yes, so we're going to be seeing this for years. We're going to see some crazy stuff.
This is the next
Yeah.
game.
Yes. But
I saw one somebody
yeah.
made it looked like a basically like a statue like this, but it had like 12 lasers on it, and they just set it walking forward, and all of a sudden all 12 lasers just focused it like the Guardian lasers. Put like 12 of them on a robot and just set it off against something. I'm like, that's allowed?
I've seen and so I've seen someone make an army of flying drones with those Guardian lasers on it, and then turn them on. They go up forward and they just start decimating everything in their path just because of those Guardian lasers. But yeah, no, that's it's otherwise been pretty quiet. Most stuff is in the middle of their patch cycle, so no major gaming anything other than Zelda coming out. That seems to be the only focus, and just trying to settle in at home, getting ready for as summer rolls in. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Ted, what have you been up to?
Mostly pen and paper games, surprisingly. Do you want to cover...
Me?
You cover Call of Cthulhu and I'll cover Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay. So, playing a Call of Cthulhu, update to come, and starting a new Star Wars pen and paper game. And I basically took one of my Star Wars The Old Republic characters, Jedi Shadow, and kind of recreated them in the new system, which, as weird as the dice are, I'm really starting to like
a neat system.
The system with the challenges and the setbacks and how you set the difficulty. Just a lot of really fun things you can do. But my Shadow is basically a beginning Force user, but mostly relies on subterfuge, skullduggery, and
street smarts
and stealth to navigate or help the party navigate through the thing. And we started out basically breaking someone out of a Hutt's palace that had been kidnapped and was beholden to the Hutt. So we broke them out, but of course no plan goes as as planned.
Star
so
Wars.
we picked up the quest. We picked up the start of the campaign, fleeing from the 4 Gamorrean guards that are chasing us through the city on Tatooine. And apparently I'm putting McCullough to sleep.
It's fine.
I know. So using one of our members is a gank and goes up on the roof and is running everything from the roof, and then I'm running everything from the ground level. So we basically are navigating through this town, and we distract the guards, duck into a cantina, make it out the back of the cantina with only having to engage one guard, and they basically stun and subdue him. Really nice moves there. And then made it to, we found out that the ship we need to leave on is missing its one of its hyperdrive parts, and so we have to go hit the junkyard where it got taken to, convince the owner to give it back to us, or because we don't have the money to pay for it. So we, through some awesome intimidation and other things, basically bluffing, it was convenient that 2 TIE fighters and an Imperial troop shuttle flew over, and we're like, unless you want to be told you're dealing in stolen merchandise, you're going to give us that back, or we're going to talk to the Imperials. And the shopkeeper's like, just deal with the Hutt and you're good. Go ahead, take it. And then it was, how do we get through town back to the spaceport, and realize, that ship's going to be locked down. So we split the party so we can go install the hyperdrive on the ship. while half the party goes to spaceport control to convince them to release the clamps on the ship. And McCullough and our friend Feelings, through some really good charm and
Listen, you said sugar and spice, and
exactly,
sugar worked.
yes. And so they basically bluffed and convinced the spaceport control that, yeah, the Hutt wants that ship and we're taking it to him, so you're going to release the clamps and we need to get out of here. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to check with him. And like, no. He's busy dealing with those Imperials that just flew over. So if you want to interrupt him when he's already in a bad mood, go right ahead. And they're like, okay. And then meanwhile, we get back in and a bounty hunter and a friend of the bounty hunter walk off the ship like, yeah, we have a puck with your name on it. And he pulls it out and he looks at it. There's no bounty yet on them. Like, he got there early before the bounty was actually put on there. So we were like, get off our ship. I was like, ah. So they leave. We check for, I checked for a tracking device because I know it's a bounty hunter. There's got to be a tracking device. Find the tracking device and give it to our engineer. We get it off cleanly, so it's still working. Give it to our engineer, and in the hangar bay next to our ship is the bounty hunter ship who's just getting ready to take off. So our engineer makes a stealth roll, slaps the tracking device on his own ship, and then we get on the ship, finish installing the hyperdrive, and head to Rhyolith, which is where we ended. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. We were the dice were really favorable for my character and for Heather's character.
Well, yeah, in game, yes.
Yeah.
In that, they weren't working so great. But
No. Yeah. But it's a really fun.
it's a great system.
It's a really fun system because it's like, okay, so if you have proficiency, you make a proficiency roll, and then you've got your attributes go along with it. So, like if you're proficient and then you have a cunning of 3 on street smart, so you get 3 additional chances at it. And then you typically, an average difficulty is like 2 purple dice. And basically any successes that you get cancel out any failures you get. But then there's also triumphs and despair. And we had a really good roll where he got a triumph, a success, and an advantage all in one roll. And the triumph was he was able to distract the stormtroopers. What did he do with the triumph? I'm trying to remember.
Well, that was I think the one getting blown up. So because he talked he sent the droid down to distract the stormtroopers. The droid stood in front of the speeder and got blown up, and so did one of the troopers.
Yeah, so
it was great.
It was a good distraction, completely unintended, but yeah, it's a fun system. So that until you go roll and the dark side gets you, but I don't have to worry about that. Have fun, boo. Oh, I will.
You will.
That, and then in digital games, getting ready for what we're calling the explosion, the XP plosion in Final Fantasy XIV, because the patch comes on Monday, and they're going to put at least 2, I think it's 2 ranks, maybe 3 ranks on the Island Sanctuary. So we've been banking experience up for 2 weeks. Don't talk to that mammoth. And once the patch hits, we should be able to go in and basically claim 2 weeks worth of island experience from the mammoth, the pasture, and the crops, and gain those ranks faster instead of having to wait or grind them out. So that's been fun. There's been a running tally of, we started this 2 weeks ago of like, you can visit the island, don't talk to the mammoth. And people were like we had one today. They almost made it. They were like 2 days away from that and got distracted and talked to the mammoth. And basically all that happens is you get all the experience now, but since you're capped at the highest rank, it doesn't do you any good. You just lost 2 weeks worth of experience. So it wasn't good. And then in WoW with the new patch, I think I've hit rank 10 with the Niffin. Just been doing the world quests, and I forgot to check and see if I'd even done the what do you call the monthly thing? It's not a battle pass. It's a you know what I'm talking
tendies,
about?
the
the
tenders.
Thing. Yeah, the tender currency. And I'm about half done, so I need to play some catch up. But other than that, and knocking out Ritz and ESO. So, what have you been up to, McCullough?
Con prep, number one.
Yes.
Yeah. We're a week and 5 days till con, so house prep for a guest that's coming for con. Game wise, I am the pen and paper girl. So when last we left our merry band of students, we were fleeing for our lives. Fleeing. And then, we stopped the session, and the next session, I just look at them like, I'm going to say something. Y'all not going to like this. And I'm like, all right, guys. So, this is pretty much the same thing happened to us last time we were in this town. People got carried away by horrible, awful monsters. And then we ended up in jail for the night because no one would believe us. And then the next morning, the people were back, but they were taken over. So I think, this fire that happened at the house we were staying at and all that was trying to get it so we can't save the people. So we need to go save them. And Cam just gives me this glare. He just gives me the darkest, deepest glare you've ever seen. Because every time we've done something we're trying to save people, Cam has ended up dead or almost dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm like, no, it makes sense. They're trying to keep us from saving people. We have a very short window of time. Very short window of time. We need to do this because otherwise, we can't go back to school. If we don't get this figured out, we can't go back to the person we're working for because we're the experts, with what we saw here. We have no prospects. We need to go save people.
Yeah, but the issue, honestly, for my character, was the way the storyteller presented what we were up against. It basically was, there's no way in heck you're taking one of these down. And there were like 6 of them. Plus,
oh yeah, absolutely.
So it was this very intimidating. It's one of those situations where you go into and it's like a roadblock. The GM says you do not want to go here, so I'm just going to put up a bunch of heavy monsters and stuff. So I thought in my character's head we were doing the right thing of retreating, going to get help, and then coming back. He didn't really lay out the story. I thought there was an issue, with, hey, but there's a path you can take to recover. He did in the session you're talking about now, kind of made it more obvious that, you have a short window. Here's an opening. You can get in and get out. So,
yeah. So but everything was leading to this one area. So I'm like, okay, we need to go, to the Broken Hills. We found a cave that the big, huge, scary Etten creatures with their 220 strength couldn't get into. So we had a recon mission, which was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in this Migo laboratory. Basically, this is where they landed. And they have been, this is their base, and this is where they take their victims, and where they strip their victims of all their belongings, and where they do their experiments and take their brains and put them in jars. So it was like, because this particular campaign is very much Invasions of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
So we're going through, and we're finding, you see a pile of clothing, and it's from the 1700s, and you find this money, and it's, different currencies, and you find body armor and weapons and all of this, right? So had we had the ability, we could have made a lot on this loot.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was ancient Mesopotamian stuff and
yeah, it was insane. But one of the things we found was a book in Latin, and it actually seemed to almost have a substance over the pages, almost like sheet protectors. Here's the deal. I am very fluent in Latin. I'm pretty sure the only way we can deal with things is magic because nothing else seems to work. I'm taking this book.
Yeah.
So we actually got through this it was almost like a dungeon crawl.
100%.
It was a Call of Cthulhu dungeon crawl, which was a lot of fun. We had been sent on this mission with a bunch of trained soldiers, all of which were carried away. We ended up finding, about to be experimented on, the head of security. We found him as he's about to get his, brain taken out of his head. We were able to defeat those particular Migo because they weren't fighters; they were scientists. Pretty quickly, without taking a lot of damage, which was really amazing. So we rescued the remaining, and I think there was 5 people remaining. But in the brain room, because we had this huge room with all these brains in vats, we found our party member who
From
had died
last campaign.
from the first chapter of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Who had been carried off because she went on alone when we were all in jail. And so we found her brain jar. And her girlfriend heard her and picked her up. So now we are fleeing with a brain jar, an ancient book in Latin, 5 rescued soldiers, and we kept finding these grates okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. So we go through one of these grates. It takes us to the river, and that was our escape. And then Mike's like, okay, we're going to do something different next week. Like, what are we doing? Like, well, I have a scenario I want to experiment with. All right, let's do this. So we actually are doing a 2 to 3 shot knowing our group. It's in the same system, but it is in the future. And so we're playing, scientists and engineers and all that. And there's been a group that's developed faster than light travel, Nyarlathotep Corp. And if you know anything about Lovecraft or Call of Cthulhu, that name's not good. Nyarlathotep is, a pretty well-known baddie.
It just sounds bad.
It does, right? But they developed faster than light travel. But we're gonna take it's gonna take 4 years to get to this colony that we want to set up, and we're half of the crew. And you basically go into stasis for a few months, and then you get out of stasis, and you work the crew, and you kind of go back and forth. Well, we get woken up for our shift, and no one's there. No one's there to wake us up. No one's there to brief us on what's happened.
There's supposed to be a week crossover between the two shifts.
Right. Yep. So, and it feels very aliens. So basically we find out that they came across something 35 days ago. And then whatever it was, it caused an anomaly. Our systems our Alexa is affected. It's trying to take over the ship. It's trying to get in. So we're trying to figure out what it is, how we can stop it.
Yep. And we have 48 hours.
And we have 48 hours because any longer than that, we can't get back to the path we were on.
Yeah. The whatever took over the ship, we found notes that says it wants to go to where we were headed. And so they intentionally turned the ship and pointed it in the opposite direction from where we were going. So we have 48 hours to make the course correction, or we won't have enough fuel to safely land on the planet.
Right, on the colony. So yeah, it's a fun change of pace, but definitely is very, we've gone from body snatchers to Among Us / aliens.
/ Dead Space. Yeah, think like Dead Space, yeah. So
yeah. But it's been good. It's really neat because he did create the campaign. So that's a blast.
Yep.
Or the scenario. So that is what we've been doing, and con prep. So we're going to go ahead and dig into that in just a few minutes. We're going to actually talk about cons. But news. You guys like news?
Absolutely.
I like news. Let's talk about news.
AIE News.
All right. In community news, mandatory fun nights where the fun is mandatory, but attendance is not. On Sundays, while Classic runs at 2 p.m. Eastern, Guild Wars 2 on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Star Trek Online at 10 p.m. Eastern. On Tuesdays, SOTOR, 9 p.m. Eastern. On Thursdays, Board Game Night, usually the first and third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And on Friday, we have ESO at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the Magic Miscellaneous Tour in Final Fantasy XIV, also at 9 p.m. Eastern. On Saturdays, a jam-packed day, we have Lord of the Rings Online at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Final Fantasy Map Night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and New Braid in WoW at 11 p.m. Eastern.
As well as Guild community happenings, we have streaming and Guild podcast news. We have a ton of AIE member podcasts. If you want to know where to find them, we have a list here in the show notes, but we'll quickly go over them. We have the SWTOR Escape podcast with Max and Seema over at newoverlords.com. We have the Behind the Games podcast with Jeff, a.k.a. Max and Seema. Sounds familiar. Also at newoverlords.com. We then have the Working Class Nerds with Marcus and Nick, the Not Safe for Life podcast over at workingclassnerdscon.wordpress.com. We then have Boards and Swords with Chris and Philip over at boardsandSwords.com. We have Dr. Gameology, also known as Dr. Daniel Kaufman, at drgameology.com. We have the STO Fleet Action Report with Greebog and Nicodemus. You can find them on YouTube at Fleet Action Report. And then we have the A Podcast Reborn, Final Fantasy XIV community podcast with Brandon, aka Old Man Franks, Megan, and Ro. Also not safe for life. You can find them at the bonusroll.gg, A Podcast Reborn.
Excellent. All right. And in Nomads news, actually kind of a big kind of community news first. BlizzCon 2023 has been announced for November 3rd and 4th. No details yet on virtual tickets, bands, etc. But keep an eye on Discord to watch for events or in-game get-togethers. Summer of Love is being worked on. It usually happens the first week of August. So again, Discord, eyes, keep watch. Diablo 4 will be launching with early access on June 1st and normal access on June 5th. Lost Ark. Interest and participation in Lost Ark waned some time ago. Only a handful of people have been logged in for the last 6 months. Membership is also greatly reduced through inactivity. The AIE Commodus Guild has been evacuated and will be sunsetted. Should interest rekindle over time, we might visit the game in the future. By the end of this week, channels will be archived and discussions for the game could be done through just the general Nomads channel. And in similar news, similar to our shift in Lost Ark to Nomad channel, we're doing the same with New World channel as well. They'll hold in-game company for now, but may remove old unplayed characters before too long in order to simplify company management. Let us know if you have any questions. We can always spin things back up and open the section back up in Discord as things get busy, or if things get busy. I'm going to go for as things get busy.
Sure. And in WoW news, speaking of Noob Raid, Noob Raid attempted to tackle the final boss in the Vault of the Incarnates this week. They were unsuccessful, but will try again next weekend. That's not to say they didn't do well, however. They tackled Broodkeeper for the first time and killed her in a very few pulls. In HFO news, the group is continuing to progress on normal Aberrus with 2 new boss kills this week, making the group 7 of 9 in normal mode. And it had its highest turnout in a long time, maybe ever, with 27 people in attendance. Good Lord,
that's awesome.
That's a lot of cats.
Some cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's the new raid is actually bringing people out. My own raid team has had a pretty big group of people, and a lot of them were regulars too, which is just weird. Yeah, we weren't having to pull in a bunch of pugs, so it's gotten people's attention. We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah. Well, I'm hearing that this new raid is a little easier than the first one, and that might be helping things out. People are not hitting walls as hard. So
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of hitting walls, in WoW Classic, TOC, or the Trial of Champions, is on the PTR. Stale Puffed continues to raid Ulduar as they gear up for their newest victims, or maybe their recruits, or whatever you want to call them. Science and all kinds of stuff there. They're hoping for the Cataclysm expansion announcement at BlizzCon. Beyond that, life is good in Classic, still going strong over there.
It feels weird saying kata would be something that would be considered classic.
I would be surprised if they said they want to do that.
Yeah,
know,
so because the
kata
whole
broke a lot of things. Yeah.
well, that's the whole thing. The Cataclysm changed the world, and that's why everyone wanted WoW Classic, because they wanted the
Right.
pre-Cataclysm
Yeah.
world. And
if you want Cataclysm, go play regular game.
Exactly.
Go play retail.
Exactly.
It's already
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, hopefully they'll have some kind of news or idea what to do, or maybe it'll be something brand new. Who knows? All right, and in SOTOR news, do I have to sing this part?
no.
That's good. No one wants me to hear me sing. All right, hello, darkness, my old friend. There's a new flashpoint. The Shrine of Silence is up in the public test servers with new art for the final boss. Think Groot, but really, really murderous. There's not a release date yet, but it's not far off. Join the SOTOR crew on Tuesdays for mandatory fun night, Wednesdays for friendly, slightly spicy, mildly organized PvP, and Fridays for some form of pew-pew, most likely ships, spaceships in space. That's kind of what you do.
Yep. And in ESO news, we have been working on trials again, having a lot of fun doing so, even though they usually have less than 12 people. Upcoming things. Tales of Tournament 3 is now open for signups. To sign up, let us know in the Tales of Tribute channel in the ESO tab, or you can DM Kramer29 in Discord. There are only a few rules that need to be followed in order to participate. 1, you have to be in the guild. You have to be a guild member. 2, you have to own the High Isle chapter or higher and have access to Tales of Tribute. And 3, you must have fun. 4, you must have completed the starter quest. If you need help with the quest, just ask and we will help you out. Tournament will run for 4 weeks with a break for 4th of July. The start will be on Monday, June 19th, 2023, and the 4th of July break will be July 3rd, and the tournament will start its second half on July 10th. They currently have 6 people signed up and would love more. Tournament will once again pay out the top 10 places, and there will be a total of $7.25 million gold in prizes. Once again, we wish all our card players the best of luck. And a reminder, the next chapter Necrom will be out June 5th for PC and Mac, and June 20th for consoles.
Huzzah.
Over on Final Fantasy XIV news, June 4th is the FC run of the final Stormblood Alliance raid. And with the new patch coming out, Tuesdays, there's been a ton of upgrades. On Tuesday, there will be a ton of upgrades to the Island Sanctuary that people are prepping for with all the XP boosts. There's going to be some story content, of course, battle-crafted gear, and if anyone needs any help with anything or has questions, go ahead and ask in Discord. That's what we're there for. The FC house has a new beachfront exterior for the summer. Come by and check it out. I believe Jess is the one that worked on that. Said they were bored and said, you know what? Summertime. Boom.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. All right, in STO news, STO is running the following 2 sales. Vanity Shields for Dilithium until tomorrow. Save on legacy items until tomorrow. All right, it's a sale, guys, and you don't even have to pay up for free shipping, so you might as well take advantage of it. The current in-game event, Looming Threats, is still active. The new reward is this reward is a new Tetron-based space set. The new content drop, Unraveled, is active. The story is based on the consequences of time and dimensional travel. That's dangerous. Something our character is responsible for, and the Theloians are trying to fix. The fleet has completed its last holding. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. So last holding, they've been working on this, guys, for years, if you've been hearing our news. Or been involved. That's amazing. They have now access to every fleet holding, resource, items, and ships. Come see what the STO crew has accomplished.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And in Lord of the Rings Online news, they have some events. First, the Buried Treasure event is going on through May 29th. Time to be working towards those treasure mounts. Next, they have the Midsummer Festival to celebrate the wedding of Middle-earth's power couple Aragorn and Arwen. So, throw off the armor, adorn yourself in fancy duds, and only raise your weapons in salute from June 8th to July 4th. Finally, there's an event everyone can't wait until it returns. Yes, that's right. Chicken Hockey, a.k.a. Hobnobbigans, is back from June 1st through June 4th.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all the news, folks. And with that, let's get back to, us. And let's talk about cons. All right. So, the kind of reason I want to talk about this is, summer tends to be the con season where you have multiple, and even though things are really, really different now than what they were a few years ago, cons are happening again. And I know that the three of us all have very different experiences when it comes to cons that the average attendees don't get to see. So I want to talk about that. So besides just like being an attendee, I want to talk about your con experiences. And Mew, I want to start with you.
Oh, I've been all over the place. The different experiences I've had, of course. I've been in the industry off and on, so I've seen the other side, the vendor side, the ones running it. I had a stint at Blizzard, so I did help with BlizzCon for a year or two. Seeing the behind the scenes, the secret stuff, the secret sauce, which all you're missing is just tired people, essentially. But I did also spend a bit of time at E3 working for Square Enix, which again a whole other side of things. More tired people, lots of press stuff, wrangling of people. Lots of standing, just so much standing, and I also and then also spent a bit of time running a booth at Gen Con. Again, this was for a gaming company, a board gaming / digital gaming company. Did a lot of cards. That was Cryptozoic. We had a little competitor to Magic that they were afraid of, and they threw their lawyers at it until it went away. That's Magic for you. Which they're now married to an even better company. Great for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was also that was probably a more intimate con, honestly, because we were a smaller company. We had a lot of loyal fans that came to see us. We were running tournaments off of a little desktop computer, and had all the computers connected to that to do the tournament stuff. So that was a lot more fun. That was in Indiana, not much to do other than the con. So
right, absolutely.
But yeah, like the only real difference between people going to a con and the people running the con is that you're tired for a different reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're lugging stuff in. I mean, really all we got to see the empty convention center before everything got set up. We got to watch it get built up. You get to see about the behind the scenes. You might catch a glimpse of a celebrity here or there. I remember running into Lindsay Sterling at E3 because it was before she was big. So she was doing what I assume was like corporate hires, like they hire her to come and do a little show.
Yeah.
So running back and forth between the behind the scenes areas. All the celebrities that are sneaking in and out of BlizzCon, like Felicia Day getting shuffled from here to there, because when you're celebrity and you're trying to hide from the crowds, they do let you use the behind the scenes areas. It's just because it's not just for their safety, it's also for the con safety. It's it's easier to have them hide, and because you don't want a big crowd of people freaking out, and when that's not the focus, like you're just a celebrity trying to go to the convention too. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of my side, and of course, I've gone to the conventions as a regular viewer, and we can talk about that, later on. But it's behind the scenes. It's not as magical as it needs to be. You're just gonna find tired people sleeping in the corner.
Absolutely. All right, Ted. And speaking of tired people, what about you?
Shots fired.
Wow.
I love you.
You were the one yawning on camera. Anyway.
I love you.
I know. So I've, again, much like Mew, we've attended as a guest and also worked as a vendor. And then I'm going to count Nerdtacular as a con. And we've worked, behind the scenes at Nerdtacular. And,
yeah. Yeah, I totally didn't even think about that. Yeah, I actually was there in an official capacity as a Cryptozoic representative.
Yep.
Right.
So we were sponsors for that one too, and helping shepherd the Johnson around, because
Exactly.
you kind of have to push him in directions, otherwise he'll just stay in a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah. So that's always fun. I think, you mentioned celebrity sightings. McCullough was setting up at Phoenix Fan Fusion, and Will and Ann Wheaton happened to come by, and we got to find out that Nevermore, who was vending at the time, runs which I can't remember the dog's Marley's
yeah.
Twitter account, and they didn't know it, and she's like, should I mention it to them? It's like, yeah. And so she got to let them know, hey, I'm the one that runs Marley's account, and so they were friends. And then I wasn't there, but I'm a big Will Wheaton fan, and McCullough was like, can I get a picture for my husband who's not here? He's like, well, I can't do pictures because contracts and stuff like that, but if you want to take a picture with Anne, I'll photobomb it. And ended up in the picture. So yeah, there's a picture of Heather and Anne, and then Will's photobombing in the background. So
And Tet just told one of my stories for later, but that's okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, like, Thursday before Phoenix Fan Fusion is when we do load in, and people don't. I mean, because when you go to the convention, it's just it's all there. It's all set up, and people don't realize what level of coordination and everything go into getting the vendors and their equipment in and out of that building or any convention center.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, our in contrast to that, we did a free convention at the Library Con, and that was nice because literally we drove up to the curb. Our spot was right there, so we just dropped the stuff off. We had a 10-foot square taped out. This is where you're vending, and dropped all the stuff off, and then went and parked 100 feet away in the parking lot, and so that was fun. That's our good, that was a good setup. But with Phoenix Convention Center, they actually have a staging area where you have to go in with your vehicle, check in and say, I'm with, Cat's Eye Curiosities, and then they'll give you a ticket, and then they call the convention center and say, hey, I have someone waiting at the, at the staging area, and then they get the go ahead, and then they send you, go on this path, follow these streets, come here, put this on your dash, and then you wait, and then the convention is in the basement, bottom floor of the convention center. So you go into the convention center, basically drive under it all the way down to the loading dock area, which is on the same level, which is nice. So you just load out right into the ground level. If you're one of the vendors, if you're they did have some vendors on the third floor, so they basically had to load out into the freight elevator, go up to the third floor, which is not fun, especially when you break down and leave. That's a whole different story.
Yeah,
I got to see that a couple times. That was chaos.
Yeah. You're part of the breakdown crew.
Yeah.
You definitely do. Having people help really does.
Yeah. The issue is you can stage everyone getting in. It's very hard to stage everyone getting out because, like, the big vendors have to you can't pack up until the con closes, and then you can't get your vehicle in until your booth has been completely packed up, inspected, and they call ahead and say, you've got somebody waiting at the loading. Okay, go ahead and send this one in. And so the big vendors, will have huge moving trucks and 18-wheelers that need to come in to load all their stuff up because they have to get to the next con the next day. Like they're traveling from Phoenix to Vegas or Phoenix to LA or Phoenix to Austin. and they've got set up for the next con the next day. Whereas the smaller vendors are like, no, we did Phoenix, we're done.
Yeah.
So we tend to
Time to
get, we tend to get forgotten. So it's, kind of hard for us to get out and the 1 year it was basically like, no, you have to go out through the loading dock. You're not allowed to carry stuff up the stairs. You're not allowed to use any of the public facing elevators. Everything has to go out through the freight elevator and stuff like that. Yeah, that lasted 1 year. And then they were like,
1 year.
Then they were like, the last year was like, yeah, if you can get stuff out of here, just get stuff out of here, please.
Oh.
I think you were there. You were there for one of those years, Mew. Where you and
You're like, we
Ted
basically just
two-manning-
grabbed what we could and just ran.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Exactly.
You and Ted
find somewhere in the
two-manning
corner.
you and Ted two-manning the
cart.
wagon up the Yep.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
It is.
I have more fun at conventions just watching people, visiting the booths, buying stuff, finding cool art.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
10-day time.
Yeah. So a lot of my con experiences was setup and breakdown and stuff like that. What about you, McCullough?
So yeah, honestly, a lot of it is the business end of things. And the really cool thing about being a vendor is the bad thing is you don't get to go to all the panels, because I would really love the idea of some of these panels, unless you're doing after hours stuff. And normally I'm just so exhausted. I'll do like the drag show or the burlesque, or I usually do like one thing and then I'm done. But the neat thing about that experience from the floor is everything passes you. Because the vendor hall is where a lot of the action is. If people aren't in the middle of a panel, they're walking around the vendor hall. So that's where a lot of the action is. You have cosplayers just walking by. You can, say, hey, can I take your picture? Or you see them taking pictures with people, so you can kind of come up and say, do you mind if I take a picture or whatever? So that's a really neat experience, seeing it from that level. Seeing also... the people, they start the day out, they're so happy and excited, and then by the end of the day, they're like dragging. But that's normal. Again, very tired people. Yep. So that I love. But also, you very much, because I'm at Artist Alley, even though our booth is big enough, we definitely could be on the larger side of the floor. We like being an Artist Alley because everything we do is handmade.
Yep.
So your row of Artist Alley becomes kind of your family for that weekend, and sometimes your family for con in general. Yep. You know these people, you interact with them, one weekend a year every year. But by the end of, if you're gonna be around the same people, oh, this person likes this snack, I'll make sure I pack this. This person, does this, or you're bringing coffee for each other. Hey, I'm running here. Let me get do you want me to pick up anything for you?
A little bit of barter going on too, I imagine.
Yeah.
All the time. And sometimes it's as funny as with money. Like, all right, I have fives. I need this. I need that. Last year, the ladies next to us were crocheters, and they were called Two Hookers, the name of their company. Nice. So it kind of became the battle cry of row 200 of thank you, hookers, because if they had made change or whatever.
It was great advertising for the booth, because we would not say thank you quietly. We would shout it out, and then people would just turn and look at the booth. We're like...
And you do that. And also because you learn your people, and you learn, like, all right, we make headbands. Well, I'm looking for this character. I don't have this character or this style, but I make sure I know who has what, and not because I want to take a sale from them ever, but I want to say, I don't have this. Here's who has it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with steampunk jewelry. I'm like, all right, so I'm looking for this piece. I'm like, I don't have it, but, here's where it's at. And that, to me, it just becomes such a great thing of camaraderie. Not, because you're in this together. So that to me is like my experience with con.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you told the two hookers.
Oh my gosh, yeah, me too.
That was
they were
the greatest. Yeah.
We also had a unique situation, AIE wise.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if is it unless you're going to talk about it further down.
No, I think it's a good one to mention. Absolutely.
Yeah. So typically, there's an AIE guild hall being run at BlizzCon. And so in the past, that's kind of been the gathering point, the mustering point for all the guildies. And a lot of times we end up adopting podcasts, and like it's just a place where like people with families might come and let their kid crash, stuff like that. Like, we typically would have we would rent out like two meeting room sizes full of just a guild hall, and so we've run that for quite a long time. It's it's obviously been a while, but yeah, that was always a staple. Like you came to BlizzCon, you have to stop at the guild hall. That was just part of the experience.
Or even if you're just there for the weekend, you're in the area, or you don't even have a ticket to BlizzCon. People have watched the BlizzCon from the guild hall.
Yeah, because we would have a screen up showing whatever the live stream was at the time, and people would be coming in from the store to relax. So, well, then the people that didn't have tickets would get to hang out with them, and tell them what's going on, and there'd be a lot of back and forth, and a lot of helping out. But yeah, it was great. Like some people literally only showed up because of the guild hall. They didn't care about the BlizzCon. They were there for the people that were for BlizzCon.
Absolutely.
So that's something that hopefully we can replicate in even other conventions that have a big AIE presence. But that ended up bringing like the CTR folks for a while were also running their own stuff because they like the idea so much. But yeah, that's another big part of cons is going there for the social aspect.
Yep. And the three of us actually had the honor at another con that we love, Nerdtacular. The three of us had the honor of recording the AIE podcast live and in person.
Yes.
We did indeed.
And that was a blast.
Yes. And you also vended.
Yeah, I did. I vended at Nerdtacular, which I love as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I tried to give away board games to everybody.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, what was your first con? What was your favorite con? And what con would you love to attend? McCullough?
All right. So, my first con was when I was a itty bitty baby. I was about to start high school. So, I just turned 15. I was just turned 15. And I went to the vendor room at NASFIC. NASFIC is the largest con, the second largest con. So basically, it's Worldcon. If Worldcon is outside of the U.S., NASFIC is the North American Science Fiction Convention. So that was my very first con as an itty bitty baby, young geeky girl. I only went to the vendor room because we didn't know about all the other stuff. And that was a blast. I bought like top Star Wars cards and all that sort of stuff, and I had my first attempt at like a cosplay, which was a white dress of my mom's that was supposed to be Lorraine's dress from her prom dress from Back to the Future. So that was my very first con. My favorite, I do love Phoenix Comic-Con because that's my big home con. Nerdtacular, just for the family experience. That's always kind of been also when we do Nerdtacular. It's a shorter amount of time on the floor. Mm-hmm. And I make as much money as I do on a 4-day trip, of Phoenix Comic-Con, which has a much larger table fee. So like Nerdtacular, when that comes back, that's my favorite. Like that's kind of my home con, even though we have to fly there or drive there. Yeah. What con would I love to attend? You've been to it, Mew. I want to go to Gen Con. As a long-term gamer, and also like not just my love of D&D, but like my favorite company is Chaosium right now when it comes to who's creating RPGs, pen and paper, and they have a huge Gen Con presence. So that to me is my dream con, and also it'd be fun, any of the cosplay and stuff. But that's the con I want to attend just for the hardcore gamer, pen and paper girl. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that I could totally see that. Yeah, that's definitely the home of all that kind of stuff, I think.
Absolutely.
What about you, Mew?
I've been trying to rack my brain. I want to say my very, very first con might have been Anime Expo.
Oh,
it's very possible.
Con. I want to go to that
one. So that was when I had first moved out to California. And this was, I think they were still doing stuff in Anaheim. Like they weren't big enough to be in the LA Convention Center. They were in the Anaheim Convention Center, I believe, and then they spent some time over in the Long Beach Convention Center. and then they started hitting the LA Convention Center because they were just so big. But
Neat.
yeah, that had to have been my first experience. It's a blur though. It was as cons were. It was just oh, look at all this anime stuff. Like
Yeah, that's how I was at NASPEC too. It was like
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was a thing.
Yeah, that was like the awakening of holy cow. There's all this stuff, and look at what they're doing. Look at all this cosplay they're doing. Look at all this effort they're putting in. And then I guess my first convention with the missus was Gen Con, because we were in Indiana at the time. We went from the LA area to Indiana, and they were like, we kind of miss doing the convention thing. It's like, here's Gen Con, let's go check it out. And that was a big thing back then. We stumbled across the MythBusters B team. So it was Grant and Tori and what was her name?
Carrie.
And yeah, like we stumbled across them. There was nobody there at the time. They weren't big yet. And we just had this full-on conversation with them for a while until we looked over and saw there was a line. Like, oh, people are here. Okay, well, it's nice talking to you. Well, we wandered off. But yeah, I want to say the biggest ones I've been to was San Diego Comic-Con. That's a monster. We can't. You can't even go to that one anymore. Like it's now like a lottery.
Yeah.
Like and actually technically it's also I went there with Cryptozoic, but I wasn't working for them at the time. I was kind of a friend of Cryptozoic because I was working at Blizzard. Blizzard and Crypto had a relationship for a little while. They're the ones that created the TCG that ended up being taken over by Hearthstone. But yeah, that was when it was still somewhat accessible. The San Diego one was just
that's what I've heard.
And you just stumble across celebrities because it's not a comic con anymore. It's a media con. It's a media con. They won't change the name because it's an iconic name, and they sued everyone into existence to get rid of them.
That's why we're Fan Fusion and not Comic Con.
But they should not be Comic-Con anymore. They are no longer. They have a tiny little section of comics now, but it's not a Comic-Con anymore. Like there's a huge difference. Like when we were in Seattle, we went to the Emerald City Comic-Con. That was a Comic-Con.
Yeah, Con too.
Yeah. And the Fan Fusion is definitely more of a Comic-Con than even that. But even they are turning into a media con.
You know what, though? This year there's a big focus again on creators.
Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a focus on getting comic book creators in.
They need to, because that's the thing is like media is this unwieldy beast that wants to take over everything. Yeah. They're like, oh, you like comics, do you? Let me show you all these other things you could be interested in. It's like, no, we want to focus on the comics. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's there's always a convention going on even near you. You might think you're in the middle of nowhere. There's probably a convention somewhere in a hotel.
Yep.
And
and those small cons can be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Definitely.
So who's next? I think is it?
No, it's me.
All
right.
Same question, sir.
So my first con, and I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was either 87 or 88 was CopperCon in either the Ambassador Inn or Hyatt Regency.
This is one of those weird moments we were in the same place at the same time.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because we did Leprechaun and CopperCon all the time in high school.
Yeah. Oh, and Leprechaun it may have been Leprechaun, but it was probably CopperCon.
It was the same group of. Oh my gosh, that's bizarre.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, those were definitely very fun cons, and we went to, play D&D and look at the art and that sort of thing, and maybe see a panel, but a lot of it was like, there
wasn't a lot of panels. There was the masquerades,
right?
But it was it was just hanging out with geeks and
playing,
shopping and gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So my favorite, honestly, my favorites, and I miss them, is Nerdtacular, because it's a small, call it what you will, family con, however you want to call it, but it's a small, or get to know most of the people that are there. you know, the I miss Snowbird because, you know, Snowbird was awesome because if you weren't involved in, you know, panels or other activities, there was always time to go hike the mountain, run the, you know, rides, just hang out and talk with people,
Yeah.
play,
The tram up to the mountain.
yeah, play, oh God, what, Uno, not Uno, what'd you play in the hallway?
Cards Against Humanity?
Cards Against
Oh, no.
Humanity.
Oh, yeah. No. Munchkin.
Munchkin. Yeah, we'd be playing Munchkin.
Yeah. You know, and
all hours
basically
of the night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, guys, it's 2 a.m. Just let me win. We
Yeah.
can all go to bed.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I remember stumbling across one of your Star Wars games too. When you all
Yes.
were squirreled away on the side.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a
100%.
D&D game, but honestly, that needs to happen again.
Yeah, because as much as what Scott's doing in Vegas, Scott and Brian are doing in Vegas is interesting. And apologies, Shoujo, but you know, Vegas just is not. You know, I don't really enjoy the casinos that much. We'd probably like to do a lot of stuff off strip in Vegas and go see some of this stuff. But you know, I just Snowbird was much, even though it's 13 hours to get there for us driving. You know, we're not flying all the vendor stuff up there.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun because you get to there, everything is close. You've got the hotel room, the vendor room, the activities, you know, everything's there. It's intimate, it's fun. So I really like that. And again, I would have liked to attend, you know, get on a time travel machine and attend San Diego Comic-Con back in the day. But if we're talking current cons, probably PAX West or PAX East because it's in Boston. So that would be fun to, you know, go see the Boston folks and do PAX East one of these years. So
Yeah, we did PAX West when we were in Seattle, and that was the first time that we started bumping into the actual, you know, runners, the actual 2 guys.
Right.
And we would just and that was to talk about a funny experience. We keep running into them at cons. And and it's kind of like how when we met the Mythbusters B team, is we just stumble across them when there's just nothing going on. We're like, oh hey, it's you guys. Oh yeah, you guys. Hey, come sit. Let's talk for a while. And you know, because it's just, you know, there's nothing going on, and you know, it's, you know, we just, you know, talk about whatever random thing we wanted to talk about. So that was always funny. And he'd be like, you know, it's like, hey, did you get that signed yet? It's like, I guess go for it.
Yeah,
You know,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's kind of like we stumbled across them at STCC, at the PAX ones. I think we bumped into the Gen Con one time, but they typically tend more towards the west, obviously, because you know they're you know from Seattle. But yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of wonder if they've ever made it to their Australia PAX.
That bad? That'd be. Oh God, I'm sure they have.
yeah.
And they also, I think they're not doing it anymore, but they also had the PAX Southwest or whatever in San Antonio for a little while, but I don't know if they're still doing that anymore, but just because like it didn't fill any special niche,
Right.
so they're just sticking to East, West, and Australia.
Right. Yeah. All right. I think it's
And then
your
you
turn.
have the last set of questions.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite activity at a con, and what is your best con story? Starting with Tets.
Well, I stole McCullough's con story. I'm sorry.
Did.
You can retell it though. You tell
I
it
will
better than
tell
I do.
it correctly. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
No,
Cool.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
no, yeah.
But no, my favorite activity, honestly, is just people watching. It used to be going to see the panels and stuff, or go see the masquerade. That's always fun. I like doing the celebrity meet and greets and stuff like that. But again, I don't know of another way to do it. But you just you spend like an hour waiting in the line to go do that, and then you have a few a couple minutes with them, and then you move on. So it's like I could be doing other stuff while I'm standing in this line. So it's a little frustrating. But one of my favorites was going with Ryan and actually meeting Adam Savage. We got tickets to do the meet and greet, and she got to see him because she grew up watching MythBusters, and
MythBusters literally came out like a few weeks after we had her, so it's been like part of her life the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So meeting Adam was just wonderful for her. She had a blast with that. But yeah, that's my favorite activity is just watching and interacting with everyone, the cosplayers, the other vendors, because just talking to other vendors, we'll go up and say hi, hey, we're running a booth over there. How are you guys doing? How's traffic? This, and just get some of the behind the scenes, like what's going on from other vendors and their viewpoint, and then finding. We found. Like this year or last year, we found the vendor again that does the cork coasters. And so we have a whole bunch of Marvel and Star Wars and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. And they sell them in 4-packs. We finally found the vendor that does the etched glass. She was there 2 cons ago.
No, years ago, because it was that weird winter con we did a few times.
Oh, right, in the Cardinal Stadium. But then we didn't see her again until we ran into her at Dapper Day Expo in Disneyland, and we're like, "Oh, because I needed to replace my Imperial tumbler that broke."
I didn't break it, guys. I promise.
She didn't. It just broke. That, and then we got some rocks glasses with Ahsoka that says "I'm no Jedi," Republic, and an Imperial one and a Mandalorian one as well. So it was good to see her, and there's a whole story about what happened there that we don't need to go into. That's the negative. That's the negative side of the con is all exactly. So yeah, that's I love going to see all the vendors and stuff because a lot of the stuff is handmade. They've put a lot of thought into the art and the stuff they're selling, and just because if you need something commercial, you just go to Amazon or go to your local comic book stop. But a lot of this is the only time of year you're going to see these vendors in your area, and it's cool. You can't see it, but McCullough has a picture behind her on the wall of all the women of Star Wars, and one of the vendors did that. And then what did we get you last year? So that you got me beautifully done. Was it X-Wing? Right.
Pose X-Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a tie? I think it was a tie. No, the Falcon.
And
then I'm hoping he's this year because he was working on the Ghost, and now it's done. Which one of my favorites.
So we're gonna get that this year. So yeah, we collect a lot of art from the cons because you're not gonna find this commercially. This is not big commercial art. This is people being creative with their stuff. So that's my favorite activity. So what about you, McCullough?
All right, so mine. Obviously, people watching vending. And Mrs. Mew has been involved in this before. It used to be, and I'm not going to be able to do it this year probably because my friend that I do it with has moved. But Friday night was I'm going to have a cocktail and enjoy myself doing something I normally don't do. So that was grown up night, Heather's night off. So we would do like I said, drag or burlesque or whatever kind of adulty entertainment thing was going on, and just kind of have fun and let loose at con because, with me, I'm very confined. So that's like something I love doing, like the after hours stuff. It's the closest I kind of get away from getting out of my booth because my booth isn't there right then. And I will restore the con story, and the only reason why is it actually happened 10 years ago tomorrow.
Oh wow. It's been a while.
So it was literally Nevermore and Ozarin So Sarah and Larkin, two of my dearest friends, they are both crafters, and they were going to split a table at Artist Alley, and they're like, "Well, do you want to maybe have a corner of the table?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, "What am I gonna do? I've never done anything like this." So I started making steampunk jewelry, and that's actually how this started. So, and I didn't have a ton of pieces, but I had like a foot, so I didn't need a lot of pieces. So it's Thursday. It's our first con. I think we went the year before as we went as fun, but this is our first con together doing this. And it's the first night, which is usually kind of preview night. And Sarah had her pixel bows, that one of which looked like Wesley sweaters. So sure enough, Will and Ann Wheaton are walking around the floor. And they stop and they're looking at it. And we recognize them and we start talking to them. And Sarah whispers to me, "Should I tell them I'm the one that runs Marley's Twitter account?" And I'm like, "Of course you should." So she just kind of says it. And Will gets this huge smile on his face, practically goes over the table to hug her. And like, "Oh, we knew it had to be a female just because the woman, but the way they talk, it had to be a woman." So they stood there at our table for like a half an hour. And so when you ever hear people pick on about Nevermore, how she mentioned that she's friends with the Wheatons, no, she is friends with the Wheatons because they became friends because of that. Like these are our people, these are our friends. So that was the neatest experience. And then with a picture, what I actually asked was, "Can I take a picture of Anne?" Because my husband's a huge fan. And Will's like, "No, we can't do pictures because I can't do pictures because of this." I'm like, and they're like, "Well, can I take a picture with Anne?" And then basically I'm like, "Well, he didn't hear me right." So he's like, "Yeah, and I'll photobomb you." I'm like, "Awesome." So that's how that happened. But that was like really we'd been at the con for maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And this happened. Yeah. It was like the coolest con experience. I've never actually had it happen anything like that again. But like to me, it was like, okay, one more thing, because all of our stories are revolved around Mythbusters.
Yep.
We've all had a Mythbuster story, and here is mine. I'm working, and I see in the middle of the convention there are these huge concrete poles, and I see somebody kind of slumped up against one of those, and I know that feeling. I sometimes sit under my table for a few minutes, usually to shove food in my mouth because I can no longer talk, and my face hurts because I've been smiling so much and talking so much. So I see somebody in that same position, and it's a younger looking Asian man. Like, that looks like Grant Imahara. Grant is not at this con. So it can't be Grant Imahara. It looks just like Grant Imahara. And I could tell I wasn't going to say anything because this person was definitely trying to get that few moments of peace that we all try to get at con. So I find out later that day that Grant Imahara was in fact at that con for one panel only. It was a Star Trek panel. He wasn't supposed to be there, and he was there. So sure enough, that was Grant Imahara I saw 20 feet from me, just relaxing at con, trying to get a breath.
Yeah.
So. All right. So what about you, Mew? What is your favorite activity at con?
Probably just socializing with people. Definitely like I am still waiting for Nerdtacular. Like that is the con that I want to like out of all of them. That's the most relaxed and the most enjoyment I've ever had has been at Nerdtacular, at Snowbird.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the con part of it's not like it's the other stuff around it, you know?
Yeah. It's that's just it. It's all doing all the socializing with all the friends there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we have a third human being in our family because of our relaxing time. Like, being able to actually like de-stress and just chill.
Yep. And And that baby got stolen at Nerdtacular one day too by my good friend Amy.
Yep. Next year. Yep. Yeah, that kid is a con kid. Like he's been to so many cons.
Yeah. I'm doing some math, and you're absolutely right. Anyways.
So yeah, that's why cons are a big part of our lives, and then it's obviously we had to take a break with things, but
Yeah.
but we went to a Lego convention a few, I want to say, was it November, like when things are finally starting to calm down a little bit, with him, because he's big into Legos, and
Yeah.
we're looking forward to it. I am going to Final Fantasy Fan Fest.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I managed to actually an AIE happened to have an extra ticket
That's
because
amazing.
they got the two, but their significant other was like, you know what, I don't want to go. Okay,
Great.
well, I'm not going to
You'll
let this
go.
go to waste. So
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
so I'll be meeting some people there too that that I've known for many years, and have played Final Fantasy with them, as well as the AIE. Like I did go to FanFest in 2013.
Yeah.
And met a bunch of AIE people there.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. Oh, that's so great.
You have to say hi to Shoujo.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. And any great con stories that you've not shared yet that you want to share?
I guess as a parting shot, we can talk about that. The fun of the Fan Fest is we know that was the first convention that our third member attended. Because Mrs. Mew learned that no one looks twice at you throwing up in the bathroom at Las Vegas hotel.
Nope.
Absolutely. That's oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, you're right. They look at you. They look at you if you're dressed nicely in at 6 a.m, and clearly you've taken a shower already. But yeah, throwing up in the hotel, they don't look at you.
No, not even a second glance. No big deal.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So, any parting shots on cons that anyone wants to throw in there? Any great stories you didn't get to tell, or also speaking of FanFest, you need to next year maybe you guys can all brave the Phoenix heat and come back this way because we loved having you here.
Yes, that's like if we didn't already have a ton of stuff going on, because we've got I've got FanFest in July, and then we probably have another trip in the beginning of July that we have to do, and it's been crazy busy this year. But I'm looking forward to braving that dry heat in Phoenix again.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. Well, that is our share for tonight. While the chat room begins suggesting titles, which Max already got a head start on that. I want to thank you, chat room, for joining us. And I want to thank my co-host for dealing with the last minute of, hey, guys, let's talk about cons.
No, it's great.
No, thank you so much. And kind of us going off the rails, which I guess is half the fun with that, but usually it's one of our guests and not us doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, if you have a question or comment about the show, you can email us at podcast.aieguild.org@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter while it's still around. The show is at AIE Podcast. Mew is at the Mew Cow, or Mew Cow over on Mastodon without the the. Mm-hmm. McCullough is at Cyberwave, and I am at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are off our next, in 2 weeks, we will be off for said con, but then we'll pick up after that. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website, aie-guild.org/podcast-live-stream, and look for the link to our Discord server at aie-guild.org. For past episodes, you can see us on YouTube at the AIE Podcast. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul or visit his website, andrewallenmusic.com.
And this is about where we would put the AIE member segments if we had some, but we didn't. So we're going to remind you, send them in as long as they're under 90 seconds or so. If they get too long, then we're going to link you and make you have your own podcast.
Hack Lank.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. As Tet mentioned, in 2 weeks we will be at Fan Fusion. If you were there, please come visit us at booth A201. We're on the corner of Artist Alley, row 200. So obviously we're going to be dark that week, but we'll return in 4 weeks with a guest to be announced, and we'll announce that as soon as we know it. So until then, AIE, this is McCullough.
This is Tetsemi.
This is Muko.
And this has been the AIE Podcast with Podcats.
Yay!
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 All right. We have podcast guest not found, the pros of cons, and back in contact.
Those are hard ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts, my friends?
I mean, I wrote the podcast.
Pros of cons.
Guess, yeah. I
Yeah,
wrote the first one, so.
Yeah, I do like the pros and cons. Back in contact as well. In fact, we could double name it. Pros of cons. Back in contact.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's probably a good way to do it.
Yep. We'll do that.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. I know it was we were a little late and we're a little chaotic.
I mean, normal.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's normal.
actually, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of which, I need to go so I can help
Go
with the
take care of
chaos.
Mrs.
Exactly.
Mew.
So
All
I'll talk
right.
to you guys later.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, chat room.